Persuasion is one of the most powerful tools in human interaction. It's the invisible art of guiding someone's thoughts, emotions, and decisions, often without them realizing it. In dark psychology, persuasion becomes the fine line between influence and manipulation. While persuasion can inspire and motivate when twisted by intent, it transforms into a silent weapon of control. Every day, people are persuaded to buy something, agree to an idea, or change their opinion. The key lies not in force, but in subtle psychological cues. Words, tone, body language, and timing work together to bypass rational thinking and trigger emotional responses. Manipulators understand this better than most. They study how the human mind responds under pressure, comfort, or admiration. And they use that understanding to reshape perception. One of the first rules of dark persuasion is trust creation. A manipulator knows that trust opens the door to control. They mimic your values, mirror your emotions, and make you feel understood. This emotional mirroring triggers the subconscious belief that we are the same. Once trust is formed, influence flows effortlessly. Next comes emotional anchoring. This involves associating certain emotions with specific ideas or people. For instance, a manipulator might pair approval or affection with obedience, making you crave validation by doing what they want. Over time, your emotional responses are trained like reflexes, turning free will into conditioned reaction. Another subtle art is controlled communication, saying just enough to spark curiosity or doubt, but never revealing everything. By controlling information flow, manipulators create uncertainty. When your mind lacks clarity, it seeks guidance, and they are ready to offer it. This technique is common in toxic relationships, workplaces, and even political speeches. Then there's NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, a method often used for persuasion. It's about using specific language patterns, sensory cues, and tone variations to bypass logical reasoning. For example, phrases like, "You know this feels right, doesn't it?" subtly implant agreement by assuming consent. Finally, deception ties it all together. Not every lie is verbal. Sometimes deception hides in omission, what's not said. Manipulators often rely on half-truths, suggestive pauses, or exaggerated emotions to steer your belief without ever being caught lying. Persuasion in dark psychology is not always about force. It's about direction, shaping perception until a person willingly walks the path chosen for them. Persuasion operates on the subtle dance between emotion and logic. The most skilled persuaders know that people rarely make decisions based purely on reason. Instead, they rely on emotional impulses and then justify them logically afterward. This is where the art of manipulation begins, not by forcing choices, but by guiding them. Imagine a salesman who convinces you that a product will change your life. He doesn't sell the item. He sells the feeling of transformation. That emotional connection bypasses critical thinking and roots itself deep in your subconscious. You begin to want the product not because you need it, but because it aligns with the self-image the persuader helped you build. Deception often enters when persuasion alone isn't enough. It's not always about lying outright. More often, it's about withholding the truth. A manipulator frames information selectively, highlighting certain details and hiding others to lead you toward a specific conclusion. This creates an illusion of free choice while your decision is already shaped from behind the curtain. Control, on the other hand, is the ultimate destination of both persuasion and deception. The manipulator wants emotional, psychological, or even behavioral dominance. Sometimes this control is overt, like a boss who intimidates employees. Other times, it's invisible, a partner who uses guilt, silence, or affection strategically to keep you dependent. These techniques thrive on repetition and subtlety. Each small persuasion, each half-truth, builds a pattern until you no longer question the manipulator's influence. You might even feel grateful to them, mistaking control for care. That's the most dangerous form of psychological dominance, the one you don't see coming. To resist it, awareness is your greatest defense. Recognize how words can be crafted to evoke emotions. Question the motives behind every flattering statement or urgent request. Understand that control often begins as concern, but its true intent reveals itself only when you try to step away. In this world of endless communication, where social media, advertising, and authority figures constantly vie for your attention, persuasion and deception are more common than ever. The key is not to shut out influence completely, but to master the ability to see through it. The art of persuasion is not just about words, it's about energy, rhythm, and emotional timing. A skilled manipulator doesn't simply speak to you. They tune into your emotional frequency and respond like a mirror. They nod when you nod. They pause when you do. And suddenly, you start to feel they get you. This illusion of connection is the foundation upon which persuasion is built. Humans crave understanding more than logic. We follow those who make us feel seen. Once trust is established, deception can hide comfortably behind it. Invisible, but powerful. Persuaders often begin with agreement. They'll validate your beliefs, echo your struggles, and slowly create a bond of similarity. Once you lower your guard, they introduce a new idea, something slightly off your original belief, but presented so gently you accept it without resistance. Over time, this idea grows roots, and you begin to think it was yours all along. This is how marketers sell dreams. It's how toxic partners make you question your boundaries. It's how authority figures manipulate compliance. The control isn't forced. It's gifted by the victim who believes they're making their own choice. But persuasion isn't always dark. The same principles guide inspiration, leadership, and influence. The difference lies in intent. Positive persuasion uplifts, while dark persuasion drains and dominates. The manipulator doesn't want mutual success, only emotional submission. To achieve this, they often use three-layered tactics. 1. Emotional contrast. First making you feel low or uncertain, then providing a solution that restores your emotional balance. 2. False urgency. Making you believe you must decide now before the opportunity vanishes. 3. Guilt or gratitude. Triggers, reminding you of something they did for you to push you into compliance. It's like a psychological seesaw. The manipulator controls the highs and lows, keeping you off balance while appearing to steady you. And perhaps the most chilling truth, the best deceivers often believe their own lies. Their conviction makes their performance flawless. To them, manipulation isn't deceit, it's survival or even art. So, how can you defend yourself? Begin by watching patterns, not moments. One lie can be excused, but repeated emotional imbalance means control is being exercised. Ask yourself, why do I feel guilty when I haven't done wrong? Why do I feel like I owe someone something I never promised? Those are red flags of subtle domination. Remember, persuasion works only when you need something from the persuader. Approval, affection, belonging. When you become emotionally self-sufficient, manipulation loses its power. Every manipulator has one ultimate goal: control without confrontation. They don't want to fight for power. They want you to hand it over willingly, and they achieve this through a delicate blend of trust, fear, and confusion. One of the strongest weapons they use is emotional dependency. The moment you start seeking their approval, their opinion begins to define your self-worth. They subtly reshape your perception, making you question what's true, what's fair, and what's real. And once doubt replaces clarity, they become your only source of validation. This is the heart of psychological control, not through strength, but through emotional exhaustion. Another layer is selective truth. Manipulators rarely lie outright. Instead, they twist facts, omit details, and exaggerate small truths until the story favors them. It's the art of distortion, turning reality into something that fits their agenda while keeping just enough truth to sound believable. And here's the chilling part. The more intelligent or empathetic the victim, the easier it is to control them. Because intelligent minds overanalyze and emotional hearts overfeel. Both try to understand the manipulator instead of recognizing the manipulation. To reclaim your mental freedom, you must shift from reaction to observation. Instead of asking, "Why are they doing this to me?" ask, "What do they gain from this behavior?" That single question breaks the spell. It turns emotion into awareness. And awareness is the enemy of control. When you recognize that persuasion is being used against your will, not for your benefit, you step outside the web. You begin to see the invisible strings, and once seen, they lose their grip. The true mastery of the mind is not in manipulating others. It's in mastering yourself. The more grounded you are in your values, the less anyone can bend you with charm, guilt, or fear. Remember, control only exists where confusion lives. Clarity is your weapon. Self-awareness is your armor. Stay observant, stay steady, and most importantly, never let someone else define your truth. See you in the next chapter, where we'll unmask the faces of toxic personalities, from narcissists to emotional vampires.